Welcome to our webinar today. We are going to be talking about generating leads with Meta Ads. Your coaches today are myself. Just by way of short introduction, my name is Marley Brody. I'm the CEO and founder of Socialized Communications, and on here with me is Ami Parmar. Ami, I'm going to let you introduce
Hi,
yourself.
everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Amit Parmar. I'm a senior team lead at Socialized Communications with a focus on sort of leading our team through ad strategies for a number of clients and driving ROI. We're really excited to share some really amazing insights with you today. And I think we should get into it. Yeah, it's 12:03. Fantastic. So, some of the amazing things we're going to talk about today is one, we'll just give you a little bit of an idea of who we are, why we're giving you these insights about Socialize. We'll debunk some really common myths that a lot of people tend to have about lead ads. We'll talk about a little bit the power of Meta ads, why we think it's important and why it should be considered. Then we'll jump into the introduction of lead generation ads and really outlining, setting the foundation of them, the components of an effective lead ad campaign, what you need to do to optimize for conversion, and then the different types of lead generation campaigns.
All right, so a quick little tidbit about Socialize. We are a full service digital marketing agency. We've been in business since 2015. I would say when we first started, we really focused on social media marketing. That was our, know-how. That was our, that made up probably like 90% of our business. We've come a long way since then. We specialize now in full service digital marketing. We really take a vested interest in aligning our companies and clients that we work with, their business development and their business objectives with marketing. Because at the end of the day, if your marketing is not turning into opportunity for your business, there's no point. We specialize in working with clients and optimizing digital marketing efforts so that it aligns with business development goals and initiatives. And we've worked with, I'm really proud to say, shamelessly proud to say that we've worked with over 150 brands and businesses over the past 8 years. And we've really sort of, mastered utilizing ads to elevate business. And it's so important that, of course, these platforms, whether it's social or Google, they're very happy to take your money. We want to make sure that your money is actually working for you in a way where you're going to see return on investment. I can't tell you how many times we've sat down with not just clients, but even like friends and contacts of ours where we look at, what are you like, we'll hear like, yes, I'm spending on digital, or yes, I'm spending on social. We open up ads manager and there's just no method and there's no strategy behind it. And, of course, if there's no strategy behind it and things aren't set up properly, you're not going to see return on investment. At the end of the day, we need to make sure that your ads are working for you and that you see results. And there's a very streamlined process and a very methodical way in how to use ads so that you do see results for your business.
Absolutely. So before we really even get into anything about ads and talking about lead ads in particular, we want to debunk a couple of myths that I'm sure a lot of you have. Myth number one, you need a large budget for effective meta advertising. I mean, contrary to what many people believe, a large budget is not a prerequisite for successful meta advertising. The reality is that a strategic targeting and engaging content, that's what's key. You don't need a big budget. You just need to make sure that your content and that your ad is set up effectively. A large budget, it can amplify your reach, and really help you reach a larger audience. But a strong, optimized campaign with a modest budget can still produce strong results. So it's really about making sure that your campaign is set up properly and that you're being strategic about your targeting and your content. And that's what's going to speak to your audience. You might not necessarily want a large audience because not everybody is interested in your business. So you don't necessarily need a large budget. Myth number two, more ad variations equal better results. This is a myth and definitely not true. At Socialize, we say something all the time to all of our clients: quality over quantity. And this applies to meta ads too. While it's important to experiment with different ad variations, bombarding your audience with too many options can really dilute the impact. So, a focused approach that really considers the most effective ad formats and content is what will produce the strongest results. It's not about flooding the platform with ads and different variations and so many different types of creative, but rather fine tuning your strategy based off of what you've researched really resonates with your audience. So adjusting it and making sure that what you're putting out there is more quality that's actually going to produce some results rather than having a million different ad variations out there. Myth number three, meta ads are only for big businesses. This is not true. Meta ads and meta advertising, it's not exclusively reserved for large corporations. So the platform really does offer a range of tools that can be tailored to a business of various sizes. And a lot of things that Meta does is to support a small business. Small businesses can also really benefit from the targeted nature of Meta ads, allowing you to reach a specific demographic without overspending. A lot of the time, small businesses do have a very specific audience that they're looking to sell their product in. And Meta ads is a great way to start to fine tune that audience and make sure that the right people are seeing your ads. Myth number four, you can see it and forget it. This is absolutely not true. Successful meta advertising requires ongoing monitoring and optimization. And we'll get into this a little bit in our coming slides and really help you understand what that means. But audience behaviors, trends, and platform algorithms evolve. They change. I think any of us who have ever been on social media, we know things are constantly changing. Us as digital marketers, we're constantly learning about the changes in every social media platform, within Facebook, within Instagram. And all of this does require you to adapt your strategy constantly. You also want to really regularly analyze performance and analytics. You want to stay apprised of how your ads are performing so that you can then adjust your targeting, refresh some creative and stay informed about the platform changes. And then you can make sure that your ads are performing and successful. If you just set it and forget it, you're letting, it run and you're letting the results be what they are. You're not optimizing and you're not looking to improve it at all. Myth number five, meta ads are intrusive and ignored by users. And this is fair. This is a fair thinking. A lot of people might have an aversion to intrusive ads. Meta advertising does offer the advantage of precise targeting, which can result in a more in more relevant and personalized content, which is what you want to pay attention to. Now, if you're putting your ad out there and you're targeting a large audience and everyone under the sun is seeing it and it might not relate to them, it can feel intrusive and they will ignore it. So you want to be specific about your ads and make sure that they align with your users' interests and preferences, that they're, then more likely to not get ignored. And I think, also paying attention to crafting creative and copy that is non-disruptive and actually engaging and gets your audience interested, while also respecting people's privacy, is really what's going to make your ads perform better and sort of diminish and overcome this perception that meta ads are intrusive, when really they're there to increase and capture your audience's attention. Marley, you're muted.
I was muted, sorry. Okay, so the power of meta ads. I think before we even delve deep into lead generation ads specifically, I think it's important to understand why meta ads have become such a powerful tool for business owners. And, at the end of the day, the biggest thing is obviously utilizing tools that are going to help expand and provide opportunities for your business to grow. And the meta advertising tool, yes, like it can be utilized to generate leads for your business. But again, going back to how that works and why it works so effectively is so important to understand. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Now, Instagram and Facebook, so they now belong to Meta. Meta is the overarching umbrella of both platforms. So when we talk about meta ads, we're referring to both Facebook and Instagram ads. And over time, the landscape has really changed. And we've noticed this from even the 8 years that we've been in business, where, when I would sit down with clients back in like 2018 and we talked about ad spend, it actually wasn't as important as it is now, because the algorithm has changed. And that may be a buzzword that like marketing professionals really understand, but I think it's important that you as business owners or marketing professionals understand as well. The algorithm dictates what you see in your feed. So if you go back 5 years, the things that you would see in your feed were all based on chronological order. So whoever you were following and what you were seeing in your feed would be shown to you in a way that, whoever posted most recently, that would come up in your feed. And about 3-4 years ago, Zuckerberg changed the game on Facebook and Instagram, where he wanted to monetize the platform. He wanted to make it a money-making machine. And B, he also wanted the customer experience to be more enjoyable. So what he did was the biggest element here that shifted was that what is shown to you in your feed is based on your engagement. It's based on your consumer behavior. So you are seeing content that you are engaging with. So for example, I engage with my brother's posts, my sister's posts, Ami's posts, my team members, and all my clients. And that's the content that is being served to me because Facebook and Instagram, it triggers them to show me content that I engage with because that is my consumer behavior. I'm engaging with that content. So it sends a little trigger to the algorithm. This is the content that Marley's interested in seeing. This is the content that I'm going to show her. And so I'm following over 1,000 accounts, and I'm only seeing probably about 3 to 4% of the accounts that I'm following just based on my consumer behavior. Now, on top of that, I'm also being served a sponsored ad every third or fourth post. So if you look through your news feed, every third or fourth post is a sponsored ad. And why that's being shown to me is because I'm that ideal target for that company that is targeting me. Now, there's all sorts of ways to set up targeting and to set up audiences. We're going to get a little bit deeper into that in in some following slides, but it's important to understand organic reach versus paid reach. So organically, when you post to your, you put up an Instagram post, you put up a Facebook post, they say, like the literature now states, that 3 to 4% of your following is seeing your content. And that's usually your close contacts, your cousins, your friends, your family members, your internal team members, any supporters of your company. They're seeing your content organically. Now, I always ask the question, are those people necessarily your ideal prospect or ideal buyer of your product or service? Likely not, right? So that's where your paid reach becomes so important, because through Meta ads, you can target your ideal contact. You can target your ideal prospect. And it's become such a powerful tool to get in front of people who are not following you. Because if you go through, and I always think it's a great idea to look at your followers and actually dissect, like, are these people that are necessarily going to be a prospective, client or customer? And Meta ads and paid ads provides an opportunity to reach people beyond those followers. And so why it's important to understand the algorithm and why this algorithm impacts your social media strategy is realizing that your organic reach has decreased, which implies that in order to get in front of the right people, you have to use a spend. Now, like Ami said in her previous slide, debunking a myth, when we say a spend, we're not talking about thousands of dollars. Like, you can have a really, really strong ad strategy for a couple $100. Depending on your scope and your audience, that's going to dictate, obviously, your, who you want to reach and how much money you need to put into it. But saying that you need an ad budget is not implying that you need to spend a lot of money. It's just spending a considerable budget to make sure that your strategy is actually working for you. And so many times we meet with, clients or like I even meet with some friends who have businesses, and they invest a lot of time into their content, and their content looks great. But if their content is not reaching their target market, it almost like it doesn't even make sense. Like it's such a, it's such a disheartening feeling when, you invest so much time into creating fantastic content and then you get like 2 engagements, or you look at your reach and you see it's reaching 50 people. So it's like, if you're investing time into creating fantastic content, you want to like add a little fuel to the fire and make sure that content is reaching the right people. So, you know, making sure that you really understand why paid ads are valuable and how they serve your business well is important. Obviously, hands down, it allows you to reach a larger audience, right? Your ads are going to allow you to really target market effectively. It exposes your brand and business to a targeted group of people. And when I say that, I mean, you can like really drill down and get granular with your audience. Meaning, if you're a real estate agent in a specific niche or a specific target market in a geographic area, you can target that geographic area. If you're a big national brand and you want to get in front of, Canada wide or US wide, you can target market effectively. If you want to get in front of people who are interested in specific topics and themes, you can do that. If you want to retarget people who are, you look at your website stats and you realize you have so many people funneling to your website, you can have like solely a strategy to retarget website visitors. That's always something we love to do at Socialize because we're at least targeting a bit of a warmer audience. And again, like it's all about, how to use your budget and make sure that your budget's actually working for you. It allows you to target market by demographic. Again, just to recap: age, location, interest, retarget, people who've engaged with your pages, people who have visited your website. If you have done any lead generation, you can target people who have filled out a form for another lead generation ad. And at the end of the day, the most amazing thing about social media ads is it gives you insights and performance metrics. So I always compare to when I was working internally, like 10 years ago at a litigation firm, where there was so much budget that went into traditional marketing. And not saying traditional marketing is dead, there is a place for that 100%. I know there are certain law firms that take out ads in Ontario reports or that have billboards, and that's great. And that's, still part of the visibility and still part of credibility and reputation building. However, where traditional marketing is lacking a little bit is on those metrics, right? Is, you have a billboard, you pay, a couple $1,000s a month for that billboard, but you don't know the recall of that. How many people saw the billboard? How many people, took note of your website and went to your website from that billboard? How many people actually looked? Like, you may have some statistics on population or density, or if you're taking out an ad in a magazine, you may have their circulation numbers, but you don't know the action after. With social ads, all of that is there. And that is the most, beneficial and effective part of using meta ads, is that you're able to gain insights into how many people clicked on your website, how many people did you reach in your target market, how many people filled out a form, what's your cost per click, what's your cost per lead, what's your cost per conversion. And knowing those numbers is so important, because then after some time, you can actually make some projections. If I spend $1,000, I know that my leads are coming in at $5 a lead, and I know I need to work 100 leads in order to close a sale. And so then you can start making some educated projections for your business. And, that's really like the advantageous part of meta ads and marketing, is that there's actually some stats that can provide you with insights into future projections, future budgets. How much should I budget for next year? This is my revenue. How much from my revenue should I reinvest in my marketing? And over the last 5 years, social media ads have started to garner more and more traction. Ad spending on social media reached over $170 million in 2022. And we see, even from the clients that we work with, which are, maybe mid-sized businesses, and even, contacts that we have at larger companies, they're starting to pull spend from traditional marketing and put into meta ads, because there's just so much more that can be done from a education aspect and actually knowing those numbers. There's clients, Ami works on, one of our largest clients at Socialize. Over the past 5 years, we actually have their numbers down to a T. So we're able to look forward to next year and say, your leads are coming in at X, you're able to close at Y. What are your projected business sales for next year? And this is how much you need to spend to get there. So there's a lot of, insights and benchmarks and KPIs, we call them key performance indicators, that you can take into consideration. Once you've done this for, I'm not talking years, like 3 to 6 months, you'll get some, benchmark numbers that you're able to actually utilize them for your business's advantage.
Some more stats in line with what Marley shared at the end, and why we think that Meta ads and Facebook ads really need to be in your strategy. Facebook is the most used social media platform in the world. I know we all sometimes think Instagram's doing really well. Maybe that's getting up there, or TikTok is new and there's a lot of users on there. Facebook still continues to reign supreme. Facebook's monthly active users approaches 3 billion people. That's and ads reached over 72% of Facebook's MAU. That's about 2 billion people, over 2 billion people that ads are being reached to. Now, not saying you need to reach all 2 billion of them, but I am almost positive that part of your audience that you're looking to target is somewhere in that 2 billion. The total potential reach of Instagram ads in 2022 was 1.8 billion people. Now, if you're really looking to expand your business, looking to get some more reach and grow your audience, Meta ads is the place to start.
Yeah. And, these are some obviously like high level stats that, will provide some insight and clarity in terms of their usership and stuff like that. Of course, it's important to understand your audience and, make sure that you're reaching your audience where they are. However, like Ami said, the vast majority of people are still on Facebook and or Instagram. And because Meta controls both platforms, and they also have a separate audience network, which is even like websites outside of Facebook and Instagram, it's just such a powerful tool. Like, we really suggest like any and all businesses to be taking advantage of Meta ads. Now, in comparison to LinkedIn ads, and that may be a separate strategy or webinar that we'll put on for professional services, we always say LinkedIn definitely has a place for ads. There's a premium for paying for LinkedIn ads. So what we do with some clients is we'll have LinkedIn ads driving traffic over to a website, so you're getting the quality traffic, and then we'll have Meta ads retarget those website visitors, and you're getting the pricing on Facebook and Instagram for like basement bottom pricing. So it's a very, very strategic play that we suggest sometimes depending on your audience. However, overall, no matter what industry you're in, you can rest assured that your audience is definitely on Facebook and or Instagram. So it's a very good place to start with Meta ads. Now, let's get into lead generation ads, because that's what we're all here for. Very, a very high level. And, there's obviously so much more that gets into ads that will, span longer than an hour webinar. However, lead generation ads are specialized advertising, a specialized advertising tool designed to capture a lead. Now, what do all businesses want? We're in 2023. We all want leads. We all want our businesses to grow. We all want opportunities from prospective clients and customers. And that is what every business, it doesn't matter if you're selling products, it doesn't matter if you're selling services, every business wants opportunity for their business to grow. Now, lead gen ads on Meta provides a direct path to building a list of potential customers or clients. It is ideal for businesses aiming to grow their customer base, their client base, and boost sales, and offer a more seamless and less intrusive user experience. Now, the way that lead ads are displayed and are targeted on these platforms, it's done in app. So this is not a traffic ad that will go over to a landing page and capture the lead on the landing page, which is sometimes an added obstacle because you're navigating people off of, the app, you're navigating people off of Facebook or Instagram, and then you're asking them to do another step, which is fill out a form on a landing page. And there's obviously, strategy behind capturing a lead or a conversion on your website. And sometimes it's a bit of a warmer audience because they've navigated to a couple of pages on your website and then they fill out a form and they're usually a warmer audience. However, lead gen ads on these social platforms, they don't navigate people off of the platform. So for example, most of you that are in this webinar actually came in through a lead generation ad on social where we had an ad. You probably remember it. If you don't, it basically was an ad that said, we're having this webinar, sign up for the webinar. The sign up was auto populated. It was a form on Facebook that was auto populated with your contact information. You registered for the webinar and it auto registered you into our Zoom webinar. Now we also do the same thing for consults, for bookings, for downloading a guide. It's all a form that's direct, like native in app. So it just solves that obstacle of getting people to do more, because we all know that like barrier of entry is a challenge, and we want to make it as easy and seamless for your prospective customers or clients. We want to make it as easy and seamless of an experience. So you attract them, they press a button, a form pops up, direct in app, like on Facebook or Instagram. It is auto-populated with their name and their email address and their phone number. And all they have to do is press submit. And when they press submit, that lead comes to you. And it's just a very easy way and a very cost-effective way to lead generate. So the key features of a lead gen ad, and we're going to get into it a little bit more. There's lead forms, there's instant contact, and there's customizable fields within those forms.
So let's talk a little bit about the objectives supported by lead ads. We've talked and told you that Meta is the place to be. This is what lead ads can do, but let's talk about the objectives and what you should strive to do with lead ads. So the first one really being getting people into your database. Lead ads are a powerful tool for building your customer database. By utilizing the lead forms that Marley mentioned, you can capture valuable information from your users without them having to leave the platform. So like Marley said, that information could be, names, emails, phone numbers, and other relevant details that really relate to your business. And so by building a comprehensive database, it really allows you to create that target marketing campaigns and maintain a direct line of communication with potential customers because you want their emails. Emails are a great way to do that and to be in direct contact with those customers. If you're building that social audience, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, you want to focus on bringing those social audiences off of social. I know it sounds counterintuitive because we're talking about social ads here, but this is the objective of lead ads. And what, at least at Socialize, this is our end goal, because in this day and age, emails reign supreme. Another really great objective about lead ads is that you get to target market a middle of funnel audience. So they're really great at retargeting. And Marley had mentioned this a little bit earlier, users who are already familiar with your brand. So they may be in the more of that middle of funnel sales, the sales funnel. So you can actually create a retargeting audience of people who have engaged with your brand, who've actually been to your website, who have, liked certain posts, who've watched certain videos, and you can then customize your lead ad content to speak to that audience and target that audience so that you're bringing them further down that sales funnel. The target approach really helps us move people further down and increases that likelihood of conversion. So you're actually talking to people who are closer to wanting to become a sale rather than people that have no idea who you are. Another great and really strong objective of Meta Ads that I just mentioned was transitioning Facebook followers to prospective clients. So this is, a fantastic way of really working with that audience. So it's always a good idea to build a social media following. But if you're not retargeting them and moving them down the funnel, that social media audience is no longer working for you. It essentially means nothing. They're just liking your posts, they're getting to know you, and you might get some organic leads from it. But if you're not actually pushing them further down the funnel, your audience will become stagnant. Lead ads really provide that seamless way to turn your followers into prospective clients. And you can do this by, providing a compelling offer or some sort of value add through your lead ads. You can really encourage those followers to, take the next step, express more interest in your products or services, have them talk to you, maybe learn a little bit more about you. And that really can facilitate that conversion through the lead form processing, and bringing that social media platform follower into your database. Another great way and great objective is to enhance your relationship building practices with lead ads. And this is done by really developing an enhanced relationship building by, like I mentioned, non-disruptive and user-friendly ads. And you can do this really by getting them to engage with your brand a little bit more. You can do this by offering value in exchange for their information, something that can really create a positive experience. So a great way we like to do this, and I'll give you a little nugget that we're going to talk about later, is lead magnets. Relationship building, especially from customer to business, is about trust. You want them to trust you. You want them to trust your authority. You want them to trust your skill. So if you want them to work with you, you need to start to build that trust. And a great way to do that is a lead magnet that provides that education and really lets you stand out as an industry leader, someone in the industry that knows what they're doing, a business that knows what they're doing, that is passionate about their services, that's passionate about their products. And lead ads allow you to sort of push that lead magnet out there, get that information. So like we said, you can take them into emails and give them more, but allow them to see your value a little bit more than just a social post with a lead magnet.
So here are a couple of examples just to show you, the way that, lead ads kind of like appear in the form and the integration, just so you could see there's, a couple of different methods of, best practices for leads, and the call to action matters most, right? So you can see right here on the far left, this is our ad for this free webinar, ready to skyrocket your lead gen with Facebook, join our webinar, Now you're going to sign up. When you press that sign up button, this form is what populated, and this is automatically filled out. Which is a nice thing. The user doesn't have to do much. It's filled out with their contact information that they use to sign into Meta. Then they press next. This is another one, not a good example because you're not going to call us from a free webinar. However, it's an example that, you can have your copy and creative, and the call to action can be a call. So there's different ways. And there's more examples later on about, what lead ads and what that lead strategy looks like, and the different calls to action that can work for you and your business to actually extract a lead.
Okay, let's start at really setting the foundation for lead ads and going over the preliminary things that you need in order to ensure that you can actually set up a lead ad and to set up a lead ad that works efficiently. The first and most important thing is define your objective. Whether this is a consult, you're looking for webinar registrations or newsletter subscribers, you need to make sure that you take a second, understand what the needs are of your business, and then clearly define your objective. Are you aiming to schedule consultations, drive those webinar registrations? Are you looking to increase email subscribers? Are you looking to have people call you? Are you just looking to have some people come and visit you? Each objective does require a different approach. And this is a different approach in terms of ad content. So the actual creative you're putting together, the actual image, the actual copy, it matters. You need to know what you're talking about and what the goal is in order to put a strong copy and creative together. It's important in terms of targeting. It allows you to really set an audience that you think will be most interested in this objective. And it also affects the information you collect. So for example, if you do go for a lead form, what information do you need to be able to set up a consultation with someone? Now, you do want to be careful. You don't want to ask too many questions and get all of the information because you do want there to be a conversation once you finally do get them in for that consultation. But you do need a little bit of information. You probably need their phone number so you can call them and actually schedule that consultation. You likely need an email address. So, those things are really dependent on that objective. So, understanding what the goal is here will help you set the foundation for the entire ad campaign and really help you measure its success accurately as well. So if you know you're looking for consults, when you start to get those leads come in, you start to call them, you start to see how many consults you actually get scheduled, you can learn a little bit more about how effective that ad is being, how quality those leads are, and then eventually you can readjust that campaign according to those insights. You also need to identify a budget. This starts with considering your target audience. Like we said, you don't need thousands and thousands of dollars in order to run an effective lead generation campaign, but it also does depend on your audience size. So if you're looking to reach all of Toronto, you kind of have a better idea of what type of budget to go towards. If you're looking to reach all of Canada, then you do need to consider a larger budget. So really consider your audience as well. Really first and foremost, when you're considering budget, a larger audience will require a higher budget, but it's always crucial to balance that reach um, and that goal. If you're looking to get 20 consults in a week, are you, as a business owner or a professional or a lawyer, for example, are you able to sustain that many leads in a week? So consider these things, consider the objective, and that will help you understand your target audience size, and then that will also help you identify that budget. It's also recommended to review your competitors. So analyze what your competitors are doing in terms of lead generation ads, and really what they're putting out there. This can provide you some really valuable insights if you're going in and you're seeing your competitors, or you're constantly seeing your competitors' ads on your own profiles, and you're seeing multiple in a day. It's probably good idea, or it's probably understood that they do actually have a larger budget. If you're seeing multiple ads in one day, you do have to put a considerable amount of budget behind that to be able to show your ads that many times. And I'm not saying that's a good idea. We did talk about being non-disruptive, so that's something to always consider. But it gives you a good idea of whether or not they're putting in a certain amount. Now, you won't know the exact amount, but as you go through sort of the meta ad setup, you'll see the targeting options that Facebook provides you. It'll give you an idea of how big your audience is and how much budget you could potentially need, and how often the ad will be seen to your target audience. So make sure that you're really looking at your competitors, how many ads they're putting out there, really gauge, especially within your specific market. Try to stay within the audience that's actually of interest to you. If you're only practicing in Toronto, don't look at competitors in all of Canada. Look at your competitors within Toronto. And then this will also help you identify gaps in their strategy that you can then exploit and set a budget to reach those benchmarks that you're looking to get. The other one, and one of a really important one, is defining your target audience. So one thing that's extremely important to understand is those audience segments. So what does top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel mean? So we touched on middle of funnel a little bit. It is an audience that is aware of your brand and is considering your options. They have learned a little bit more about you. But let's start at top of funnel. So these are users who are usually in the early stages of the customer journey. They might not really even know you yet. They're just sort of starting to get to know you. Lead generation ads towards a top of funnel audience should focus on creating awareness and even providing educational content to capture their interest. So, it's a great idea to include a top of funnel audience in a lead ad to start to bring new people in. You don't want to just focus on middle or bottom of funnel. It's always a good idea to get new people in, especially if you're doing something like I mentioned previously, like a lead magnet, where you're providing some education and it's actually very preliminary. You're not asking them to talk to you quite yet. You're not asking them to even get into your email database quite yet. So you want to focus on more education with a top of funnel audience. Middle of funnel audience, your ad content should provide a more it should provide more specific information because now they know who you are. Maybe they came in through that top of funnel ad and now they're sort of going down that funnel and they're in middle. So it's you have to be a little bit more specific about your products or your services and really encourage them to take a deeper interest. So when you're targeting a middle of funnel audience, it could be just get on a call for a consult. Let's just start to get an idea of what your needs are and how I can help you as a business owner or as a professional. Really getting them a little bit more information. Now, you could also do a lead magnet here, but your lead magnet should be less overall. It should be a little bit more detailed in terms of the content because now you want to give them more. A bottom of funnel audience, now this audience is ready to make a decision. They know you, they have been to your website, they've been in the middle of funnel audience, they're a lot more educated on your business and on you, that they're a lot more likely to start to make a decision and actually start to turn into a conversion. Your lead ad for this audience should provide really clear call to actions. Talk to me if you're ready to purchase a home. Talk to me if you are looking for a lawyer to support your divorce. Whatever it is, you have to be a little bit more specific with that objective and that call to action here because you now want to convert them into a lead. So it's you've developed that trust, you've provided them more education, you've helped them understand how you can support them, and then now bottom of funnel, your ad should be pushing them to actually start to talk to you now. Understanding these segments, it really will help you tailor your ad content and your messaging to meet the specific needs of your audience, especially within their different stages of the customer journey. So as you provide that different, educational content, it helps them come down. And really by addressing these preliminary components, you start to lay the groundwork for what will be an effective lead generation campaign. And most importantly, a lead generation campaign that aligns with your business objectives, that fits within any budget constraints that you've set for your business, and that talks to the audience that you care about, the audience that you're really looking to work with.
So creating, and Ami kind of touched on, a lot of this, but creating an effective lead gen ad comes with a couple of high level suggestions. There is definitely best practices for creating an effective lead gen ad. And the first and foremost, important element here is creating compelling ad content. There is definitely a way to create captivating ad copy. There's an art to storytelling, and there's a way to, test an audience with different methods of content creation. So when it comes to the creative, which is your imagery, you want to make sure that your images are high quality. I can't tell you how many times I get targeted by ads where like images are blurry or they're cut off, or like an image is not framed properly. And it just goes back to the perception of quality, right? If I'm going to, hire an interior designer, and I see that, an image is blurry, or that, it's not a high quality video, or if it is a video ad, I can't really hear the video ad that well. It just, it goes back to perception. These days, perception's reality. So you want to make sure that your imagery that is chosen is high quality. It is clear. If you're using stock photos or stock videos, always make sure that, you're downloading from royalty-free sources. That's a really important thing. You don't want to, run into copyright issues down the road. And you want to make sure that your imagery speaks to and is relevant to the copy and to the intention. So again, like for example, if you're using a lead magnet as your lead generation ad, meaning you've developed a guide or a resource, a checklist, whatever it is that you want to use for people to download in exchange for their email address, you want to make sure that the creative and the copy is relative and relevant to what you're kind of getting your prospect to do in terms of their next step, their action. So downloading a resource, booking a consult, and it needs to relate to, and we'll show you some examples of ads so you can see what, a performing ad looks like. Now, the art of storytelling, a couple of high level, suggestions. you don't want an ad in the description part of your ad to be very long-winded. We've seen some ads where, there's a couple paragraphs on an ad. The way that people are consuming content these days, it's a scroll, scroll, scroll. So unless there's like some sort of like really captivating story that requires you to, draft 2, 3 paragraphs, that's just usually not best practice. The first sentence of the ad needs to captivate the user. So, for example, I'm going to skip back a couple slides. Free webinar, ready to skyrocket your lead generation with Facebook and Instagram ads. That's the capture. The capture is lead generation. You want to generate leads, you want to optimize your business. We're offering you a free webinar. So, same thing if you want to look at, and we'll go through some other examples in other industries and other ads. But that first sentence is really, really important. And your imagery is also really, really important. For images that have text in it, you don't want too much text in the image. Because again, like the way that people consume content, they're not reading a paragraph on an image. It just needs to stand out enough so that somebody stops the scroll, right? Because again, like the way we scroll through content, whether it's on our desktop or on our phone, it's one of these. So unless the ad speaks to me, I'm not stopping, I'm continuing to scroll. So, the way that you construct your copy is very, very important. And in meta ads, there's also ways to test different variations of text to be able to see what resonates with your audience best. You want to make sure you have a very clear call to action. So again, what you're intending your audience to do, that needs to be very, very clear in the button. Are you getting them to sign up for something? Are you getting them to book something? Are you getting them to download something? Are you getting them to, book a time? That call to action really, it's very important because, that's basically going to impact their next step. The lead form, also very important. You want to ask for only essential information. I've seen lead forms, because the way that the lead forms work in Facebook, you can add like short answer questions, you can add multiple choice questions, you can make the form as, as large as you want it to. However, that is a barrier for entry. That causes friction. So the less that you're asking for, the better your conversion rates are going to be. What do you need from this person? You need their name, you need their email address, potentially their phone number, maybe their website, maybe their company name. If you're, in financial services, maybe you need a date of birth. Think about like, what's the essential information needed, and that's it. Like, keep it at that. We do start to see increases in cost per lead when you start to, add a bunch of questions that they just don't have time to answer. So very straightforward, very easy. Best practice is 5 questions tops, like tops. And again, you want your lead ad to offer value. Very, very important. You want to make sure that your lead ad is direct and that it offers value, and that's going to lead into quality leads and a very strong cost per lead. And that's really, really kind of like 4 elements that come together in creating an effective lead generation ad. So here's a couple of examples. We're going to get into more examples after. Just 3 main examples. These are like socialized examples. One of them is a download free resource. We had our eyes set out in 2023 to target medical professionals. We took our own advice. Our business comprises professional services. We work with a lot of law firms, a lot of mortgage brokers, financial services, real estate agents, accountants. We wanted to branch off into medical professionals because it's an untapped market and it really follows the same sort of direction that we've spent such a long time building. So we set our eyes out January 2023. How are we going to build a list of medical professionals? And we had this ad, and the ad was, we want to freshen up your social feed. Here's some free templates that you can use. To date, the results on this ad, we had over 300 people download these templates, and we've landed 4 pieces of business from this ad this year. So it worked, right? We offered something free, something valuable. The cost per download was between $3 to $4 per lead. And we were able to nurture those leads in email where we converted 4 pieces of business. Dave did a webinar on successful Q2 business planning. This was a free workshop, a free webinar. We got them to sign up. The call to action is the sign up. Again, lead generation ad, different than the free, free templates, but that's another way that we generated leads. Those people that downloaded or signed up for a webinar are saved in our CRM and our email marketing platform, and we're able to nurture those contacts. Another one was a free guide for lawyers, digital marketing best practices. And we targeted lawyers and law firms and attorneys all over United States and Canada. And we were able to build a list of people who downloaded this guide. So here's a couple of examples with different calls to action. I do see questions that have come in. I'm going to save them for the end to go through them and answer all your questions.
Amazing. So optimizing your ads for conversion. Now we talked about, what you need to pay attention to really get set up, the type of call to actions that you can consider. But now how do we make sure that, we're producing optimal results, or that if your ad is underperforming, what can we do to improve its performance? The first thing that we always do at Socialize is A/B testing. Ads need to be constantly testing. And this is something that I said when in our previous one about myths, that you can't just set it and forget it. If you want to have an ad that is strong, you need to come in and adjust and test different things until you can produce some strong results and see what your audience actually resonates with. So a couple of things that we try to prioritize within our testing is audiences. Now, we might get an idea of who your audience is, and you might have a strong idea of who your audience is when you're building this campaign and who you want to come in and talk to you. Now, you can set up that campaign with that targeted audience, and you might find that the leads that come in might not be exactly what you're looking for. So it's important to sort of adjust and add a couple of different audiences in there. And the more you learn about which one is performing, the more sometimes your business's objective audience might change as well. You'll actually start to see that the people that are more interested might not be the people you thought were more interested from the beginning. So, like we talked about, a top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. When you're running a lead generation campaign, you don't want to pigeonhole to just one stage in the funnel. You want to include all 3 in there and then see which one is actually producing the strongest results and which one is giving you which one is helping you reach the goals for your business. And including those in there, Facebook will then actually attribute spend and budget to the audience that is producing, which will give you a good idea of which one to actually continue to target moving forward. Another one is creative. Now, you want to be dynamic in your messaging. Putting just one message out there and hoping that it converts, it's a hindrance to you, your business, and your campaign. Now, when you include different types of messages in there and you provide a little bit of a dynamic approach, especially to each audience type, you're allowing different ways for those leads to generate. You're not just having one creative, hoping it converts, and then continuing to run it. Again, we don't set it and forget it. You want to have different ones in there and constantly change them out as well, so that your audience can have a chance to see something new as well. If they maybe came in through one creative, they might end up seeing another creative later on, and then that will help them learn a little bit more about you as well and come further down that funnel. Now, especially if you're going to be including different audience types, make sure you adjust your creative to talk to those different audience types. One other thing that we really do consistently at Socialize is when we run our ad campaigns, One thing, we check it every single second of the day. No, not really. But we do go in multiple times in a week and check in on the performance of the campaigns and see how they're doing. And something that we'll consistently do is change out the creative. If we've put three in there and we're seeing that all three maybe aren't producing any results, we'll change it up immediately and see what can produce. Having different types, so testing out a video in maybe one ad, testing out just a static image, testing out carousel in another, allows you to also see what your audience resonates with, and then you can get a better idea. If most of your leads are coming through videos, and you know you need to prioritize videos, not just in your ads but also in your content, because your audience clearly resonates with it. Budget is also a great one to test. Sometimes we think that, X amount of budget is, we've done our analysis and our competitors, we're understanding what our audience, how big our audience is. We think X amount of dollars is what's going to produce results, and it might not be the case. And it might be that you need to put a little bit more spend in there, or it might mean that you need to put a little bit less spend in there. You have to be careful, because if you put too much budget in a short amount of time, Facebook is going to spend it no matter what. Even if you don't get a lead, Facebook is going to spend that, which will increase your cost per result. So you do want to have some testing going on with different levels of budget to understand what's producing you the best results at the lowest cost. Ad placements is the last but not the least the testing objective that you want to look at. Now, you might find that putting your ads on Meta and Facebook, Instagram might do really well, but you might not be producing the strongest results. And then it's time to look at some of those ad placements. Maybe you're producing the strongest results from your Instagram audience, and the people seeing your ad on Instagram are more interested. We see this sometimes with e-commerce businesses, where Instagram tends to be extremely strong over Facebook. So looking at those things when you're creating your ads and testing out different placements will give you a good idea of where your audience exists, and what will actually produce you the strongest results. Now, the second thing is form simplification. So Marley went over this a little bit earlier. You don't want to ask too much from your audience. The more you ask, the more tired they get, and the higher your cost per lead will become, because you'll find people starting to go through it. And I'm sure all of you can resonate. Anytime you've been served a lead ad and you've gone into the form, if you've been asked 10 questions, it's a little bit of a red flag, and it can deter you, right? And it can be disruptive. So consider decreasing the number of asks that you have in your form if you're noticing you're not producing results, especially if you have more than just the essentials. If you have more than just name, email, phone number, consider simplifying that and sort of bringing the ask down a little bit. Remarketing efforts are also a fantastic way to improve results. You want to re-engage users. Something that we love to do is, if we've run X lead generation campaign for a client in Q1, now we're testing out a new objective in Q2, we'll retarget everyone that actually went to the first Q1 lead ad, because they were clearly interested enough to want to provide us their information. So now we want to bring them with lead ad number 2 and see if that's going to help produce a different one. Even though the objective is a little bit different, the audience is still very bottom of funnel. Anyone who's gone to your website, making sure you're retargeting those. If you don't have any of these retargeting efforts in your ad campaign, add some, see how strong your results will improve. If you're looking at really getting people to work with you, especially if this is not a lead magnet and you're getting people to actually talk to you, you do want to make sure they know who you are first before you start to ask them to talk to you. And then fourth is to review analytics and your budget allocation. So if you have X budget in your Meta ads and you're putting, half of that into lead gen, and you're seeing that the results aren't as strong, consider increasing that budget and maybe taking it out of the different objectives you have in Meta ads. But the biggest thing is to review those analytics. Look at what's performing. If you're doing multiple different creatives, look at which creative is performing best. Maybe turn off the one that isn't, so Meta can then allocate spend to the one that's performing really well. If you're doing different audiences, make sure you're checking in on it weekly or bi-weekly, and just making sure that the one that is performing is the one that Meta is pushing budget into. So Meta is really intuitive in that way, where if you have different creatives or audiences under one campaign, it will put spend into where it's actually producing. So you'll want to adjust and turn off some campaigns that aren't producing so well. And that also gives you a good idea in point number one, what you need to test in terms of creative next time.
All right, so I see we're out of time. I do want to power through just, showing you guys a couple of, ad campaigns that have worked. This is a guide download for an insurance company. They've had over 400 downloads just in Q2. And again, like that's 400 email addresses that they have now in their system to remarket. This is a book a consult ad for a family law firm. They've had over 300 leads to book a consult since February. Again, like very, very clear call to action. This is a law firm. Are you navigating emotional challenges of divorce? Free phone consult. There's no fluff. And this is a very strong performing ad where, the cost per lead has been, I think it's like around $2 to $3 last time I checked. I think at one point it was around $5. We were able to bring the cost down significantly. But even if on those 300 leads at $2 to $3 per lead, even if this lawyer, and I know he has closed more than one lead, I mean, it's paid for his marketing spend for the next couple years. Nonprofit, this is a charity, and we wanted to get more exposure and more signups, email newsletter subscribers. This ad has produced over 600 new newsletter subscribers since January. And this is an ad for a modular home builder. Get a quote for this limited time special pricing for this design. And this ad resulted in 350 people that left their contact information to get a quote on this home. Now, important to remember that even if this home doesn't sell to one of those 350 people, we now have 350 people who are clearly interested in getting a quote on this home. So now this company is able to retarget using ads and email, because now we have their email address. And so we've just optimized their database of potential prospects. Now, the very exciting part is we do have a few resources that we want to provide to the registrants of this course or of this webinar. We have a Meta Ads Bootcamp ad copy best practices guide. We are going to send you a link to that so that you can utilize that in setting up your ads. We have a Meta Ads crash course on lead generation ads where we actually share screen and set up lead generation ads with you. So this is a little bit more about the why we do it and best practices. The Meta Ads crash course is actually how to set up the ads, how to go back in through Ads Manager. We share screen. You don't even see our face. And we go through exactly how to set up ads in Ads Manager. You can literally open up your Ads Manager and do it with us. And the really, really cool thing that we've done over the past year is we've created a Meta Ads Bootcamp. The Meta Ads Bootcamp is perfect for those who are new to Meta Ads. It's a 3-session course. It's virtual. You do it on your own time. And you discover the formula for setting up ads and managing your own Meta Ads. It goes through everything from setting up your business manager, setting up your ad manager, setting up your ad audiences. We show you how to set up your top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel ads. We show you how to set up a pixel on your website so you can retarget properly. We actually go into Ads Manager, share screen, and show you how. And the exciting part is we have a 5 ad objective formula that we use at Socialize for our clients that basically mocks a ad funnel where we have different ads that target different people during the funnel. And the entire course is $26. We give you a $10 discount code. I'll send you the link to it. I can't recommend it enough. Since we've launched, we've had over 70 people purchase the course, and the feedback that we're getting, for people who want to DIY it, for people who want to do it themselves, this is more, it's not a moneymaker. If you look at it, it's $26. But it's more of something that, our team came together and we're like, the economy is a crazy place right now. There's a lot of companies that can't afford working with a marketing agency. How can you do it yourself? We actually feel so bad when we see, people who want to work with us, who've been trying to do Facebook ads themselves, and we look in their Ads Manager and we see that there's no audiences, there's no retargeting audiences, and you're spending hundreds of dollars at Facebook ads and it's not turning into anything. So we've created this course for a very, very cost-effective price where we actually show you how. There's a methodology that goes far beyond a 1-hour webinar, where we actually show you how to set up and how to launch, ad objectives in a very strategic way. I can't recommend it enough. I'm biased because we created it, but the feedback I'm getting from people who've actually taken the course is outstanding. So I'm happy to send you that $10 discount code, $26. I don't know. For me, it's a no-brainer. If it can help you utilize ads, it actually shows you the how, and how to actually do it properly.